Try this out. See what's happening here in the bass? Everything's moving, but not this, not this, no, not this. This is called a pedal tone, and it's a shortcut to making evocative, tension-building, and beautiful music. Hey, it's Ian at Soundfly, and today we're talking about pedal tones. A pedal tone is basically a note that sustains across harmonies. It's also sometimes called a pedal point. Historically, the name comes from old pipe organs, which had foot pedals where you could play the bass with your feet while playing the harmony and the melody on the keyboard with your hands. That also might be why it's most often associated with bass notes specifically, or maybe that's just because it sounds awesome in the bass. So imagine you're playing this chord progression. But you got one note that doesn't change, no matter what. That's your pedal tone. Pedal tones are such a simple idea, but they sound so good in so many different contexts. For one thing, they can add all sorts of complexity and nuance to your harmony. A pedal tone may start as a chord tone, a note that's part of the chord you're playing, like the 1 or the 5. But then as you change chords, the pedal tone might become something more unexpected. Maybe an interesting tension like a 9 or an 11 or a flat 13. You can end up with weird, interesting, evocative harmonies. Maybe even chords where the pedal tone shares no traditional harmonic relationship with the rest of the chord. Imagine the tension, feed the tension. Classical composers love a pedal tone. Jazz players use pedal tones all the time. Rock bands use pedal tones. Musical theater loves a pedal tone. Hip-hop, soul, metal, you name it. It's probably got pedal tones somewhere. For the sake of simplicity, I personally like to use pedal tones in 3 main ways. First, they sound amazing in the bass. This is probably the most beloved use of a pedal tone. The bass note stubbornly roots in one place, building drama, and then releases into the chord changes, surging the energy forward. You can use any bass note you want for this, but it's most common to hear people using the root note of the scale as the pedal, sometimes called the tonic pedal, or the 5 of whatever key you're in, sometimes called the dominant pedal. Using the 5 is awesome because then you can release down to the 1, creating this great sense of resolution. Second, I love using pedal tones to add layers to the harmony as a mid-range voice. This can also be a great way to pivot between the chords in your song, connecting different harmonies together. Having just a single tone in the middle of your arrangement is a great way to build drama and energy as your arrangement goes on. And then it also helps you highlight that you've arrived somewhere new when you finally change that tone. And of course, I love using pedal tones for soaring melodies. When a melody note repeats over changing chords, it can create this beautiful suspended feeling, lifting the whole piece of music up, especially if it eventually resolves. One question you might be asking is, how is this different from a drone? Some traditional Western theory textbooks might hold that a pedal tone or pedal point needs to go from a chord tone to a non-chord tone, whereas a drone can be any sustained note. To me, it's the fact that eventually it ends that gives the pedal tone its power. It's an emotional springboard we can use to get us to the next part of our journey. An ostinato is another similar idea, except an ostinato is a repeating pattern, riff, or motif. So it's usually multiple notes rather than just a single note, whereas a pedal tone is usually just a single note. That said, ostinatos can also be a great way to create a similar effect. especially if it doesn't change while the harmony around it does. Okay, so try this out. First, write a chord progression, but keep your bass note the same for 4 measures. A classic example of this would be the progression from CeeLo's Forget You. Most of the song has the same 4 chord progression: C major, D major, F major, and then back to C again. So try that, but with a pedal in the bass, maybe the C tone. Now try it with the dominant pedal, so try it with a G in the bass. You can quickly hear how that pedal tone really changes the overall vibe and mood of the progression. Or try this out. Next time you're working on production, add a string part or a pad in the middle that just adds a layer of lush harmony to it. You have to be careful, you don't want things to get too muddy, but see if you can find a pedal tone that works across all the chords in your progression and can really lift the energy of the piece. Or try this. Next time you're writing a melody and you're tempted to have lots of different notes, don't. Instead, just hang out on that one note longer than anyone would expect. See what sort of melody that gives you. What are your favorite songs that use pedal tones? Let us know in the comments. We'd love to hear about them. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to Soundfly on YouTube. We're going to be releasing so many more great, interesting explainers. So stick with us, and we hope that you found this useful. If you've ever made a piece of music with a pedal tone, please share it in the comments. We would love to hear it.